There we go again. It's very sensitive. Right, I'm Sean from Adnams. I'm head of web operations at Adnams, but a lot of people like to call me the web guy, hence the title on the bottom of the slide. I'm going to take you through why we decided to use WordPress. This is following a conversation I had with Jake where he couldn't quite understand how a company the size of Adnams would actually take WordPress seriously, but hopefully I can convince a few of you today that it is a solid way to go. So I started at Adnams in 2008. The company's been going since the late 1800s, and when I joined the company it looked like some of the websites had been going that long as well. The problem that Adnams had was an iteration of sites based on the marketing manager of the time. And as you can see here, you'll see different sites using different versions of the logo. We had sites running on ASP, we had sites on PHP, and we even had this one here which had some flash animation to make the towels move and stuff on there, but was actually done in Dreamweaver. It was totally unmanageable. The first job was to get the e-commerce site up and running, because sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't, and that was really the case. We'd actually just not take orders some days because it fell over. So we got the e-commerce site up and running really swiftly, priority job. And then Andy, the CEO, said in 2009, he said to me, can we sort the rest of these sites out pretty quick? And some of the sites you see there actually had some intermediate work done to them because they were that bad. And he said to me, if I give you 100 grand, can you just get on and get the rest sorted out and pull this together? Well, I just thought, I don't want another website, I need a web strategy, because we've got enough websites and we've got enough poor ones, we need something to pull this together. So we got all the stakeholders together, interviewed them, saw what they thought they wanted from a web presence, because Adnams has multiple channels. And one of the problems is we don't just do beer, we do hotels, we've now got a distillery, and we've got all of our shops as well. And trying to promote those all in one go is reflected in the number of sites that were there. So we needed to pull that together. We did some focus groups, we got a company in to actually interview and do some research for us, and we found there was one commonality between all of these people that come to Adnams, and their view of Adnams was an experience. So if they stayed in the hotels, that was their experience. If they went to the pub and drank our beer, that was also their experience. So I needed to get that experience across online. And the strategy was quite a simple one. Well, it seems quite simple at first, but it's content. And if anyone has ever developed a website, as many of you here will know, your clients will usually come to you and want the latest flashy bit of technology. And the last thing they'll actually deliver to you and make your delivery times go out and your invoices not get paid will be the content. So first thing I needed was the buy-in. So I got the stakeholders together and said, where's this content going to come from and who's going to do it? So we took some of that money and we allocated a person that was going to be like an editor-in-chief to collate the content, pull it in and get it together. And they weren't necessarily going to write everything, but we were going to get that content from chefs, from the head brewer, from people within the company, the wine buyers, and then the person we used, Sarah, was going to then pull all that together in a nice way and manage that online. We also managed to get someone part-time to help Sarah collate all of that, because there's a lot of technical bits that go behind the content. And when we're talking about content, it's not just about writing. YouTube videos play a big part in what we do. We produce a YouTube video every single week. And that goes on the site. So what did content give us? Well, it gives us engagement. So these people want an Adnams experience. We're trying to do that online. We give them the content, they can engage with the content, and bam, we're straight into the most popular part of what's going on online at the moment, which is the social entity. So we can link up the content to Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Flickr. And the big benefit off the back of that is I haven't got to go and spend shed loads of money on SEO. Decent content gets backlinks gets us position in search engines. So that was good. So where am I going to put this content? Now, as you might have guessed, I'm a bit of a WordPress fan anyway, So I was a bit biased on this point, but honestly, it was nothing to do with budget. It was more to do with my experience of custom CMSs from companies in the past and the ones that we dealt with, or that Adnams had already dealt with CMSs that didn't work and everything like that. And so I said to myself, well, why? Why can't we use WordPress? And this is what I said to Jake. Think, why not WordPress when you're thinking about delivering a CMS? And the first thing that probably hits you is, well, its perception is it's free. Well, YouTube's free, but there's plenty of people earning millions off the back of that. And it's a blog platform. Well, I'm not even sure our board of directors know that we're using WordPress and even know what a blog is, because we've designed it in such a way, and it's customizable in such a way, that it doesn't necessarily need to look like a blog, but it can have all of the benefits of a blog, the search engine benefits, the content, the embedding benefits for YouTube videos. And then reliability. Does something that's free, that was developed in 2003 and by a load of PHP hacks, and I'm not technical myself and taught myself PHP, and I can hack WordPress like the best of them, does it really stand up to the corporate environment? So we had a look round. And there's about 100 or so Fortune 500 companies, some of which I'll show you in a little while, that are using WordPress. WordPress themselves are very security conscious, and a lot of that, the security and the scalability, comes down to your hosting. Now, you can get hosting for WordPress, £30 a year, one-click installs and things like that. But also, if you're really running with the big boys, you can go to WordPress and they will give you VIP hosting for about £1,700 a month, and that will host up to 5 sites. Now, that's not a lot of money divvied up between 5 sites, and that's serious hosting, load balancing and all those sorts of things. It's W3C compliant. Well, WordPress as a core is, you start tinkering with the theme and plugins and all the other bits that go in it, it might not be compliant by the time you've finished, but in essence, when you start out, it is. And SEO friendly by default. It just amazes me when you put a post on a WordPress site now, and there's something, and I'm not going to get the name right, there's something called SubHub or something connected into it that communicates directly with Google. So instead of where you used to have this long wait before your content appeared on Google, now Google take your content almost immediately, goes on the WordPress site, put it up, and then it will come down the rankings and disappear off the site if it's no good. But if it is good, it will stay there. So it's absolutely brilliant. Future development. Well, they're developing the platform all of the time. There's around about 30 developers directly employed by Automattic in different guises. Automattic, the guys behind it. And, the version now, 3.2 compared to version 2.8 when we first launched WordPress, is just amazing. It's a content writer's dream now, actually, with things like the iPad app, and you can even upload from the iPhone and stuff like that if you really, really want to. And support. Well, I reckon about half of you could probably support us with WordPress, or know someone that could. There are so many WordPress developers and people that can do this sort of thing around the world that you're not going to run out out of a problem with support. I'm not going to be worrying about a company going bust on me and wondering how I manage their CMS system. And I had a light bulb moment, as you always do. I was listening to a podcast on WordPress, on the WordPress community, because obviously being a WordPress geek, I like that sort of thing. And Matt Cutts was being interviewed. Now, Matt Cutts, everyone know Matt Cutts? Yeah, nods most of the way around. He's like, he's the guy responsible for things like the Panda update that's seen so many sites disappear off of Google. He was the one that pressed the button anyway. He's the anti-spam guy. And he was being interviewed, and they were asking him, because he uses WordPress himself for his own blogging, and he basically said that he doesn't worry about SEO stuff because Google has to deal with so many WordPress sites, it knows what it's doing. So if you've got duplicate content caused by links from archive pages or categories and things like that, Google knows about it, so it handles it. And I'm sort of thinking, well, actually, if Google are making adjustments to their system for for WordPress, then why should I be worrying about it? So it seemed like a system we should be using. Now, I didn't just jump in, of course. We did some testing. We ran a couple of smaller blogs in the background, make sure we could handle delivering the content and everything like that. And it's not all roses either. There are some serious things to watch out for, especially when you start doing the customization. When you're running your own blog, you can go and get your plugins and load them up, and there's loads of fancy things you can do, and you can do virtually what you want. But in a corporate environment, we've got to be careful. And Chris, we've had some fun. Chris actually here is my lead developer, and he helps me out when I do something really stupid, because I'm not a developer, but I do like to tinker. And we've had some fun with Duff plugins that we thought looked okay, and they've actually taken the site down. So plugins, really be careful with plugins. Test, test, test. I mean, you should be using staging sites anyway, and version control and all of that sort of stuff. And if you really want to know how we manage our sites technically from that point of view, then Chris is the guy to have a word with afterwards. Themes is almost the same. Now, as an agency, this is really where you can make your money. So you might be developing on a free platform, might be perceived as free, but you can make some gorgeous themes. And there's actually businesses built out of making WordPress themes on their own. And we did some brilliant things, not internally, but the guy that we hired, we've got some tidying up to do, but I mean, he integrated some of our e-commerce stuff in as part of a theme. We've got a pub finder built into the theme as plugins and everything. So it's really good. But do watch out. Don't go grabbing free themes. Make sure they're fully tested and they work well. The biggest thing, I think, and this is especially if you're doing lots of WordPress sites, is the updates. Updates are the bane of my life. I always go in, please don't fall over. Obviously, we have backup processes in place and everything like that, but WordPress are always doing updates. There's updates to the plugins themselves, and it can be a bit of a nightmare. So you need to have a solid update process in place. There are alternatives. I don't know whether Harry's in the crowd tonight, but I put that up there for him. A couple of them, Drupal and Joomla, are bigger scale versions of WordPress content management systems, perfectly valid, and if you know them as well, then, well, why not? And there's probably many others as well. If you do decide to develop for yourself or for your clients in WordPress, you can be assured you're in good company. Companies such as eBay, CNN, even Network Solutions are running WordPress sites. So if you're thinking custom CMS, think WordPress, think why not, and if you can think of a good enough reason why these guys shouldn't be using WordPress, then all right, I'm wrong. But if not, come and join us. It's good fun, and it's